One greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on this Saturday, August 21st, 2021. Thank you very much. The information I'm going to bring to you is pertaining to uh, New York, U.S. versus Robert Sylvester Kelly. As most of you know, he has been attending court this week in a Brooklyn federal trial, and there have been 4 people to testify against the R&B once sensation. And I will bring you the said commentary. I will be bringing you 3 sources of information, and 2 will be piggybacking off of one another. So please bear with me because they're both lengthy. 2 of the articles, and thank you all for joining. Hello, Mary Blue. Hello, Diamond Dozen. Everybody, thank you very much. I want to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much. Insider is the first source. R. Kelly's former tour manager was forced to testify, said the singer got 15-year-old Aaliyah pregnant. Demetrius Smith, R. Kelly's former tour manager, was ordered to take the stand Friday to tell jurors about the night the singer learned he had gotten 15-year-old Aaliyah pregnant. Smith, who started working with Kelly in the 80s when he was performing at talent shows and in subway stations, tried to assert his Fifth Amendment privilege not to self-incriminate, but was granted immunity from prosecution and ordered on Friday to testify against the singer. Kelly is on trial for a long list of alleged crimes, including charges related to bribing a government official to obtain a fake ID so he could take Aaliyah as his child bride. Smith reluctantly admitted that he was the man who found and paid the official, a welfare office employee, for the ID so Kelly could marry Aaliyah and avoid prosecution for having sex with a minor. So now we know it's a welfare office employee. And you will find out more about that when I go into another article explaining that one of the ID was what's the word? I guess a welfare card. I don't know. Anyway, Kelly denies any wrongdoing. Okay, throughout his time on the stand, Smith pushed back at the prosecution questioning. He said he didn't want to be there and that he was uncomfortable talking about Aaliyah without her parents there. I feel like I'm on trial for Aaliyah. SHIT, he said at one point. Judge Ann Donnelly insisted he answer, and Smith shared details without the illegal relationship between young Aaliyah and Kelly. It is illegal for an adult to have sex with a 15-year-old in the state of Michigan and Illinois. For those who want to condone this behavior, let me say it again. It is illegal to have sex with a 15-year-old in Michigan and Illinois. So that's possibly why there's charges coming out of Michigan now, because Aaliyah is from Michigan. Stay woke. New information. And I find it interesting that this Mr. Smith is saying he didn't want to be there and that he was uncomfortable talking about Aaliyah without her parents there. Well, first of all, she's deceased. 2, if she was alive, she'd be grown. Her parents are grown. So I don't understand that comment. That makes no sense. Seems like to me you'd be more uncomfortable if her parents were in the courtroom listening. How would you feel comfortable with her parents there listening? Because you're basically saying you knew you got an ID for their child when she was a child to marry a grown-ass man. What the hell is going on? All right, let me finish. I usually give my commentary afterwards. Lord have mercy. Tell me Satan ain't busy. Okay. Judge Ann Donnelly insisted he answer, and Smith shared details about the illegal relationship between young Aaliyah and Kelly. It is illegal for an adult to have sex with a 15-year-old in Michigan and Illinois. Smith said he and Kelly met Aaliyah through her uncle, Barry Hankerson, who was also Kelly's manager. Kelly and Smith flew to Aaliyah's home in Detroit in 1992 to listen to her sing at her uncle's request. So guess what? This meeting was set up by none other, her uncle, Mr. Hankerson, the one who has just now decided to release her music to streaming devices as of yesterday in America and around the world. Amen. Kelly then began writing and producing her music. Smith first told the court Friday that Kelly's time with Aaliyah, including when Kelly asked to be alone with her, was all about her music. Now, you can't say that, Mr. Smith, due to what we've learned anyway. But then the prosecution pressed him on the issue, showing him his prior grand jury testimony. Eventually, Smith admitted that he had confronted Kelly at least once about his relationship with Aaliyah after feeling they were too playful. He recalled at one point asking Kelly if he was messing around with her. Smith said he believed Kelly when he denied that was the case, but then one night in the middle of a performance in Orlando in August of 1994, Kelly made him immediately arrange for travel back to his home in Chicago. Aaliyah's in trouble, man. We need to get home, Smith testified that Kelly told him that night. Robbery and a marriage. Smith testified at first Kelly didn't share any details about what was wrong with Aaliyah, but ordered him to book a round-trip flight. Smith said he wanted to call Hankerson to see what was going on with Aaliyah, but was told not to. Let me repeat that again. Smith said he wanted to call Hankerson to see what was going on with Aaliyah, but was told not to. So that means R. Kelly said, don't call. After the show, Kelly, Smith, and other employees boarded a plane to Chicago, and the singer cried a lot. Oh, Lord have mercy. Somebody get me a handkerchief. Oh. First time I'm ever hearing this now. Admitting to Smith that Aaliyah was pregnant, he testified. That was a shock, Smith told the court. Kelly told Smith that his other manager, Daryl McDavid, was making arrangements for the singer to marry the teenager to protect himself, to protect Aaliyah, Smith testified. Well, how were you protecting Aaliyah by marrying her? Make me understand that. Okay. When asked what Kelly would be protecting himself against, Smith responded, shit, jail, I guess. When the plane landed in Chicago, Smith said he urged Kelly not to try and marry the teenager. She was too young. He was confused, Smith recalled. But then Kelly started asking Smith whose side he was on. And the tour manager started to feel like he was being pushed out of his singer's life. Oh, my Lord. Hell, did you like R. Kelly? What the hell am I reading? This is ridiculous. Oh, this is nonsense. Excuse my demeanor. I was trying to be calm. To avoid losing his place in Kelly's inner circle, make sure you open your ears to what I just said. To avoid losing his place in Kelly's inner circle, Smith told the singer, McDavid, and Aaliyah that he knew how to get the teenager a fake ID that made her look old enough to legally marry the singer. Let me say that again. Mr. Smith, the tour manager, who testified yesterday, told McDavid, the other entourage worker for Mr. R. Kelly, that he knew how to get the child a fake ID so R. Kelly could marry her. Yeah, okay. He then went to a local welfare office and offered a woman $500 to make her an ID. The group then went to a nearby FedEx or similar shipping store and had an associate make the teen a fake employment ID as backup. Woo! 2 crimes. Before Kelly and Aaliyah went to the Cook County Clerk's office to apply for a marriage license. 3 crimes. The clerk accepted the IDs and the group went back to the hotel suite where a minister performed a ceremony to marry them. Smith said, oops, 4 crimes with a preacher. I'm dead. A marriage license shown to the jury Friday indicated they were wed on August 31st, 1994. Aaliyah's age was listed as 18, 3 years older than her actual age. Aaliyah's underage marriage to Kelly was annulled in February 1995 by her parents. She died 6 years later at 22 in a plane crash off the Bahamas. So the marriage was annulled in February of 1995. They wed August 31st. So it was stipulations about if it was a year, 6 months, whatever. So August, September, October, November, December, January, February, 6 months later it was annulled, allegedly. Let's say allegedly. Marriage annulled in 1995 in February by her parents. She died 6 years later, 22, in a plane crash off the Bahamas. Court went into recess for the weekend at 5:30 p.m. and the prosecution plans to continue questioning Smith Monday morning. Kelly's trial is expected to last 4 weeks. If you are a survivor of sexual assault, you can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 800-656-HOPE 4673 or visit their website to receive confidential support. You need verification for anything that I've brought to you in this said information. The insider is the source. I'm going to recap the crimes that took place pertaining to the ID for anybody that gets it confused with what exactly was used to obtain the marriage license. Lord have mercy. Because, you know, some of you just need verification. I'm going to recap. 1 second. Hold on one second. Mr. Smith, as not to lose his place in the circle with Mr. Kelly, he told him how he could get a fake ID for the young lady so Mr. Kelly could marry Miss Aaliyah. He went to a local welfare office and offered a woman $500 to make her an ID. The group then went to a nearby FedEx or similar shipping store and had an associate make the teen a fake employment ID as backup. That's 2 crimes. Before Kelly and Aaliyah went to the Cook County Clerk's office to apply for the license. 3 crimes. The clerk accepted the IDs and the group went back to the hotel suite where a minister performed a ceremony to wed them. 4 crimes. That is said information by the insider. Thank you for joining. This is Everyday Shenanigans. If you want to donate to the channel in a dream, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you. TheDailyBeast.com is source number 2. Thank you all so much. He was combative with his testimony. Let me make that clear in the chat. Mr. Smith was combative on the stand yesterday, and the judge had to make him answer the questions. I just read that information in the commentary. Did not want to talk, but the point is, he knew what he signed up for by signing the immunity clause. So there's no need of showing out in the courtroom when you agree to this. Source number 2. Daily Beast. Okay, this is just recapping some of the information I've already brought to you. This is pertaining to the ex-assistant. This is another person who's testified. 4 people have testified this week in the trial of the U.S. versus R. Kelly. This is a statement from the ex-assistant. It was weirder than working for Kanye. Shut up, I'm dead. Lord have mercy. Here we go. A former assistant on Friday described his time working for R. Kelly. Hold on. Starting to act crazy now. That's the devil. Weirder than working for known eccentric Kanye West. It was a weird time for me. Anthony Navarro, who was one of Kelly's low-level assistants for 2 years, starting in 2007, told jurors in Brooklyn federal court the things you had to do were just a bit uncomfortable, quote unquote. It was almost like the Twilight Zone. You were into the gate and it was just a different world, just a strange place. Navarro, who went on to work with other high-profile musicians such as Jay-Z, Taylor Swift, spent hours describing the various bizarre tasks he had to do while working in studios located in Kelly's mansion basement. Among the tasks he had to complete during his 12-hour shifts were driving Kelly's girlfriends, picking up packages, cleaning the singer's house, picking up food for anyone who was inside the Olympia Fields mansion. The music and production stuff was really good. All the other stuff was kind of strange, Navarro 36 said, adding that it was different from similar roles he held with other celebrities, which he described as very professional. So he is letting you know he has worked for other professional people. Taylor Swift, Jay-Z. What he encountered with R. Kelly was different, bizarre, strange, weird, Twilight Zone. His words. In this said article, you will see a picture of the Olympia Fields mansion with a gate. Note, I said gate. For those of you that know R. Kelly so well and know what happened at that house, the house was gated. In case you get confused of all the allegations that have come forward then and a few years ago of the houses in Johns Creek, Atlanta, Georgia, and the Trump Tower condo in Chicago. You see, sometimes what you think you know, you don't know. Just saying. There's a picture right here in this article showing you the home. It has a gate and a security sign outside of the gates, too. Navarro is among 4 witnesses who have testified for the prosecution during the first week of Kelly's trial. At least 5 women are expected to testify in the anticipated month-long trial about the abuse they endured while involved with the once revered Grammy-winning singer and producer. Kelly, 54, faces a slew of charges, including racketeering, based on kidnapping, sexual exploitation of children, and forced labor. He is also charged with violations of the Mann Act, which prohibits the transport of people across state lines for sex. That's a law. Prosecutors have alleged that Kelly abused at least 6 women and girls, 4 of whom were minors when he first slept with them. At least two also contracted herpes after Kelly knowingly exposed them to the disease. And this information I'm getting ready to repeat to you is for those who do not believe that Robert Sylvester Kelly has the herpes virus. The next information I'm going to read to you is by a doctor with an MD and also a professor at Northwestern University, which is a very prestigious university in the Midwest, for those of you who are not scholastically inclined. Dr. Chris G. McGrath, a professor at Northwestern University and Kelly's former primary care doctor, testified under subpoena on Thursday that he began prescribing the singer medication to treat herpes symptoms at least as far back as 2007. The doctor told jurors that he first became aware of the possibility Kelly might have herpes much earlier after June 5th, 2000 visit. Prosecutors also alleged that Kelly bribed an Illinois government employee with $500 to obtain a fake ID for the princess of R&B, Aaliyah, so he could marry her in 1994 after finding out she might be pregnant. At the time, Aaliyah, who died in 2001, plane crash at 22, was just 15 years old. The marriage certificate, which was shown to jurors Friday, stated that she was 3 years older and thus of a legal age to marry the then 27-year-old bump and grind artist. The Cook County Clerk marriage application, certification, and license stated that the pair got married on August 31st, 1994 in Rosemont, Illinois. So that ain't even Chicago. That's outside of Chicago for those of you who are familiar with the Chicago area. I have to tell you that. The pair applied for the marriage a day prior, with Kelly using his Illinois state driver's license and Aaliyah using the Department of Public Aid card. It is a welfare card for those that don't know, because I didn't know myself, which did not have a birth date. Say whoa. Demetrius Smith, the former tour manager for Kelly, who helped him obtain the welfare card for the teenager, testified on Friday that Aaliyah also obtained a fake ID that stated she worked for a courier company in order to obtain the marriage certificate. Smith, who was subpoenaed to testify under oath and granted immunity, was combative with the prosecutors. Let me say that again for somebody in the back. It states here that while Mr. Smith was subpoenaed to testify under oath and granted immunity, was combative with the prosecutors and Judge Ann Donnelly as he described the process to obtain the fake identification that would allow the two singles to get married after Leah revealed she believed she was pregnant. Quote, I feel like I'm on trial for Leah shit, quote unquote. Smith said in front of the jurors on Friday, I don't feel like I did nothing to deserve prosecution, so I don't know why I have to testify, quote unquote. I'm very uncomfortable about this. I don't understand why I got to be here, quote unquote, he said in another outburst. Smith is expected to continue his testimony on Monday about the marriage. That was eventually annulled. That he insisted that he objected to but help orchestrate. Let me say that again. He insisted he objected to but help orchestrate because he wanted to stay in the group, quote unquote. Caroline Harris, a supervisor at Cook County Clerk's office, who walked jurors through the documents, also testified on Friday about the pair's marriage. Harris admitted that the Department of Public Aid card Aaliyah used is not usually eligible as a proper form of valid identification. The decision on what constitutes a valid form of identification, Harris said, sometimes is up to the clerk handling the application. Kelly has pleaded not guilty to all charges against him. His defense team has argued that accusers had consensual relationships with Kelly and that the ones who testify are liars who have an agenda. So guess what? So you also saying that the assistant, he's a liar too. Because this is how I look at it. If you're going to say the lady's a liar, you might as well go ahead and say the assistant who worked for him, he's a liar. Just saying. Oh, and the doctor, he's a liar too. Even though he treated him for herpes, he's a liar too. Okay. Hey, why not? Everybody's lying. Hey, just saying. This is a quote from Geronda Pace. I had to call him daddy. I had to wear baggy clothes. I couldn't leave where I was without permission. I wouldn't eat without his permission, quote unquote. Geronda Pace. Earlier this week, Geronda Pace, a mother of four, allegedly, who was also pregnant on the witness stand. Yes, Geronda Pace has four children. She's pregnant with baby number 5, and they had to hurry up and get her off the witness stand to give her testimony as so she would not go into labor on the witness stand. Amen. Earlier this week, Geronda Pace, a mother of four, allegedly she was sexually and physically abused during a 6-month relationship with Kelly when she was 16. The relationship, which mostly consisted of sexual encounters at his mansion, ended in January 2010 after the pair got into an argument. And Kelly got so angry, he literally choked her until she passed out before making her perform oral sex on him. I wasn't supposed to tell anyone I was spending time with him, Pace, who was the first accuser to testify, said on Wednesday. I had to call him daddy. I had to wear baggy clothes. I couldn't leave where I was without permission. I wouldn't eat without his permission. I wouldn't even go to the bathroom without his permission. And I'm also going to mention that somebody's going to throw it in there, that there was a bathroom on the adjoining room where she was staying, allegedly. So they're now saying, why is she making this up? Because there was also allegedly a bathroom connected to the said bedroom. There's also a photo that's now coming to question of her lying on the bed, taking a selfie of the mirrors above the ceiling, and she's wearing a fitted outfit. But as I state, who's to say? She was in the bedroom. He wasn't around. She could wear what she wanted to wear because he wasn't there. So that's just one photo. Perhaps he wanted her to wear baggy clothes while she's walking around the house. But then we found out she wasn't allowed to walk around the house. So I don't know. In the end, she was a child. It doesn't even really matter. Still a kid. Okay. The girls had to get permission to get most things, he said. He added that whenever one of the girlfriends asked for something, ranging from asking for a ride to getting in contact with the singer, he would have to get permission from Kelly or one of his managers before completing the request. They weren't supposed to be wandering around. They weren't supposed to leave the room, he said. This was one of Rob's rules for us. Okay, so that has been speculated for the past couple of years with the documentary of Surviving R. Kelly 1 and 2 being released, and the women giving testimony who stayed in the house with Robert Kelly that they couldn't maneuver around. This testimony is coming from way back years ago when Geronda Pace was going to the house to stay with Robert Kelly. You now have testimony from an assistant who worked for R. Kelly for 2 years, worked for other professional singers, Miss Swift, Jay-Z, who said their relationships were professional. This is the one that wasn't professional. He's now giving his testimony that, yes, they did not wander around the house. He did have female guests, young girls, and they had to ask for permission, meaning they called him to ask Robert for whatever it is that they want. And mind you, when you go in this article, there is a picture of the estate, and it was gated at the time of the photo when Robert Kelly lived there. In case you need any, there'll be no discrepancies about the information I'm bringing to you. He's saying it was one of Rob's rules for us that the girls were not supposed to wander around the house and they were not supposed to leave the room. This is old testimony from years ago, 2007, way before these other young ladies came into the picture that did the documentary R. Kelly, just so you understand. Navarro, who owns a music studio and smoothie business, said he saw Kelly verbally abuse his employees during his 2-year employment. He said that he once witnessed 2 girls who had climbed over the fence and were running across the lawn on the security footage of the front of the Chicago property. One of the girls had been someone who had been at the house before, he said. Back then, I thought they were mid-age teenagers, pretty young, quote unquote. He also recognized Pace, Miss Geronda, stating that she was one of the guests that were at the studio and that he remembered giving her rides, which was consistent with her testimony. During cross-examination on Thursday, defense attorney Deborah O'Connor portrayed Pace as a self-proclaimed liar, making the young woman repeat several times that she lied about her age to Kelly, profited from a self-published book about her experiences with the singer, and previously told authorities that he had hinted that he had herpes. The interview, which Pace admitted to remembering in part, appeared to contradict testimony on Wednesday, in which she claimed Kelly never told her he had herpes during their relationship. That's the sad information. By Daily Beast. Thank you all for joining me. My next information is my last source, and then I'll give my commentary pertaining to what I just brought to you. Thank you all for joining me. The New York Times is the source. R. Kelly trial, key moments from week 1. The first days of the disgraced R&B superstar's federal trial in Brooklyn included harrowing testimony from the accuser and details of his brief marriage to Aaliyah. For decades, allegations of sexual misconduct have followed R. Kelly, but not until Wednesday, on the first day of his long-awaited criminal trial, did one of his accusers take the witness stand to testify against the disgraced R&B superstar. Okay, now this thing is acting up. Hold on a minute. 1 second. Now I can't get into it. Of course, because this is... Wait a minute. Let's see if I can bring it up. Okay. Geronda Pace was only 16 when Mr. Kelly began having sex with her, and when she told the singer he seemed unconcerned, she testified. Across 2 days of searing testimony, Ms. Pace, one of Mr. Kelly's most vocal accusers, opened... Oh, Lordy, it's not going to let me in here for some reason. I don't know why. They want me to subscribe. This happens every time. Let me go back in, see if I can find this. Hold on 1 second. Thank you all for joining me. These articles don't like when you don't subscribe to them. 1 second. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all in the chat. Thank you. Got 2 mods on deck, amen. Thank you so much. Hold on 1 second. We are a bit winded. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I think this is the one right here. Just uploaded 12 hours. But let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on 1 second. Thank you. Thank you for your time. This is still won't let me bring it up. I don't know why it won't let me read it. Hold on 1 second. Hello, everybody. Let's see if I can try to view it on this .com article. They make you go through hell just to read an article, I tell you. It's crazy. Still won't allow me to do it. Well, I may not be able to read it because it's not allowing me to pull it up. Thank you all for joining me. I don't know why. It won't. Let me see what my options are. Hold on 1 second, you guys. Thanks for joining me. This device is so slow. Well, I'm 29 minutes in. I'm not going to worry about it. Basically, I'm going to go ahead in my commentary because I'm already 25 minutes in. Basically, 4 people testified against Robert Kelly pertaining to their dealings with him. Geronda Pace, 16 years old at the time, who had sexual relationships with Mr. Kelly. Mr. Smith, who was a tour manager, who was combative on the witness stand yesterday, who has been granted immunity to testify. He moaned and groaned why he shouldn't be up there, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Navarro, who worked for Mr. Kelly for 2 years, also worked for other celebrities, deemed his time with Mr. Kelly very unprofessional. And it was like the Twilight Zone, very weird, weirder than working with Kanye West. So that goes to show you he does have experience in the personal assistant business. Then we have the doctor, Mr. McGrath, who is a professional, an MD, and also a professor at Northwestern University, which is one of the most prestigious universities in America. Gave testimony that he treated R. Kelly with prescriptions for herpes, and he also believes that he had herpes back in 2000 before treating him for herpes in 2007. I'm going to give you my sad commentary to everything that was said in court this week. Thanks for joining me. Day 4 trial. We're going to talk about Miss Geronda. It was been said that he paid her $1 million. This is what I'm confused about. Why did he pay Geronda that much money? I have not heard that Mr. Kelly paid any other woman that amount of money. Why? Because as they stated in this article, the last one I brought you, she's the most vocal of his accusers. And that's probably why she had a mouth on her. I got to pay the loudest one the most. She's going to tell it all. And she did. And as I state, they're arguing about a photograph of her lying on the bed where there's mirrors on the ceiling, and she took a selfie, and she had on slinky clothes, and that said photograph. And they're saying that that's contradictory to what she's told the court, that he wanted them in baggy clothes. Well, like I said, if I'm in a room by myself, I'm not allowed to come out of the room, then who can tell me what I can wear while I'm in the room? She probably had on something slinky because she could. He wasn't there. He was gone or downstairs in the basement recording. So R. Kelly don't know what they're doing in the room. So why would I have on baggy clothes when he's not around? He's not in there. So you have one photograph of her in a slinky outfit. It means nothing. In the end, she's a child. She was a child. Okay. Naturally, if he gave her $1 million, that money can be verified in her account. And one would have to say, well, where did she get the money from? If she didn't work and have a viable income at the time of the payment, which I do not know the age of Geronda Pace at the time she got the $1 million payment, anybody can say to themselves, she didn't make enough money at that time to have this amount of money in her account. Where did it come from? Stay woke. You know it can be verified. And as I state, why did he pay her this amount of money and not the other ones? Because I have not had any verification that R. Kelly paid any other women, girls, family members this much money to be quiet. And that goes to show proof that R. Kelly knew he was sleeping with children in order to pay the payment. Why would I pay you money to keep you quiet? I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't abused you, assaulted you. So why would I go in my bank account and pay you, a random stranger, stay woke, money, any kind of money? It don't matter if it's $50. It's my money. I don't know you. And I'm going to go in my bank account. Oops, I forgot he can't read and write. So Pookie went in the bank account and paid Sugar Mama, Sugarfoot Mama, Daddy money, but he don't know them. Stay woke. But I don't know what I'm talking about, because these are all lies. Might be some fabrications and exaggerations, but in the end, you paid money to people that allegedly you ain't got no business with. Oops, I forgot. Yes, you did. You said it was consensual. So then why am I going to pay you for consensual sex? Then that mean you admitting that you paid them as prostitutes. See, I keep trying to tell you, everything is in the details. So now you're saying that they were hookers. Come on, Queen. I said that because you said that. See, that's something that everybody missed. It's all consensual. Everybody he slept with was consensual sex. Then that means if they got money in their account, they can't interact with their job, then that means you pay them for sex. So then now we're talking about illegal prostitution. Stay woke. Dr. McGrath, some of you want to contradict when and if Robert Sylvester Kelly has herpes. Well, let me think about that for just a second. Dr. McGrath works for a prestigious university, which means he had to be given a background check in order to be a professor. Stay woke. So you mean to tell me this man who was an MD and now professor at Northwestern is lying about treating somebody for the herpes virus? Why would he lie? when you already know anything with a psychiatrist and a doctor is confidential information. So that means his records were subpoenaed. Stay woke. So then if we're going to say the doctor's a liar, then that means we're going to say that Walgreens, they lied too about making the prescription. Come on, Queen. Don't hurt them. So now we got a lying doctor. We got a lying pharmacist, pharmacy techs. So if we were to get them up here to testify, which we know we ain't supposed to, what would they say? The doctor also lied about memorizing the Walgreens number because that's how many times R. Kelly called him for a damn prescription. So what you trying to say? R. Kelly was overdosing on herpes pills, I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm sure that you're only supposed to take so many a day or one a day like most medicine. But that lets you know it's incurable. So that means you have to take it every day. Now, I can't verify the medicine, the prescription, how many times you're supposed to take it a day, but the common sense thing would be if the man told the court, I already know Walgreens' number, because that means he's anticipating for Walgreens to call him. Shut up, Queen. Like they had a rapport with each other, Walgreens and Dr. McGrath. Don't throw McGrath under the bus. He's doing his job. If the court subpoenaed his records and asked him to testify, there's nothing he can do about that. And why would he want to ride for aiding a man who had herpes? That's not his problem. It's not his business. He's a doctor. He is now a professor from Northwestern University. He did what he was supposed to do, which was testify before the court. He ain't got a dog in the race. Leave that man alone. It is said that by Mr. McGrath in testimony that he told Robert Kelly to tell the women he has sex with that he has herpes. Do you believe that Robert Kelly told his girlfriends that he had the virus? Probably not. And if he did tell it, it was probably after he already then had sex with them. Come on now. And they're also saying that Robert Kelly don't think it's a big deal. That's why his lawyers didn't want the information entered in the court of the two women who say he got it from them, from the state of New York. So that should tell you something right there. If you are going to tell the court and your lawyers that I don't think the herpes virus is serious, I don't want this admitted in court, which is letting me know you do have it, and you don't want people to keep talking about it because you know they can get proof that you got it, and you don't think it's serious, that tells me everything I need to know that you didn't tell nobody that you had it in the first place. Come on, Queen. You see, everything is in the details. You don't want to admit it because it keeps the rumors circulating that he got it. It also antes up all the people who's talking, they got it. Y'all don't hear me? And then let's do this. Let's take a tally. If we count up every woman that he had sex with since 2007, and every one of them got herpes, you want me to believe all them women got herpes from other people in the street? When you don't really even hear of herpes being passed around a lot until it's an outbreak and a lot of people start going to the health department with the symptoms. You mainly hear of chlamydia, trichomonas. Those are the main infections that women get or pass to men, vice versa, men and men, which is however you want to word it. You see, you don't really ever know how many people are walking around with the STDs until the health department decides to push a statement out to say, hey, we got a high influx of these people coming in with this. You all need to come get checked. Please wear your condoms, like they did in Knoxville, Tennessee a few years ago when they got an influx of syphilis. And they was telling you to not shake hands with people in the city because, oops, y'all didn't know that, did you? You could shake somebody's hand with syphilis and contract it. Stay woke. I do my homework. The assistant, Mr. Navarro, who worked for him for 2 years, letting you know it was a weird experience working for Robert. What the hell is he doing cleaning Robert Kelly's house? Let me tell you something. It's a fine line between public assistance, personal assistant, excuse me. And a lot of people who hire people to do this type of work get it twisted. You see, to me, it's kind of like healthcare. You can go in as a caregiver, but when you want me to start mowing your grass, getting the leaves out of the gutters, you done went too damn far. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? So therefore, Mr. Navarro should have told Mr. Robert Kelly, homeboy, look at here. I work for the best. I don't do windows. And I don't clean nobody's damn house. You need to go hire you a maid. But we already know how that would have ended up. Would have been kind of like the braid lady who we ended up putting his penis in her face. Yeah, I said that. You about to do an Arnold Schwarzenegger. Can't go out and pick up nobody strange because everybody will know my big square face out here sleeping in slumber with a strange woman. So Arnold Schwarzenegger slept with the maid. So we already know if R. Kelly had a maid, he would have solicited her too. Come on, Queen. I would have never cleaned Robert Kelly's house. The errand running, answering phones, those types of things, getting your dry cleaning, that type of stuff is one thing. But I'm not getting ready to work for you as an assistant and clean your damn house. That's out. So he should have told Robert Kelly, hell no. Tour manager speaking. Combative on the court. I have a problem with this joker. You rode the ride all along with this shit about R. Kelly. You told on yourself. You took a plea. You took the immunity clause, and yet you get in that courtroom showing out in front of that woman in that courtroom in that court, acting like you a ride or die fan for R. Kelly. If you were really loyal to R. Kelly, sir, you would have never took the clause. You would have went on and did your jail time for getting them fake IDs made and committing a crime in Chicago, Illinois. You broke code. You broke the law, and that's just the bottom line. You broke the law on your part. You broke the law. You aided a child to have sex with a grown man. You aided that. Whether you in the beginning did not know that he was having sex with the girl, you went along with it. Because eventually he told you that the girl was pregnant, perhaps pregnant. You said he cried on the way back to Chicago, which I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, thanks for the theatrics. You aided Robert Kelly in having sex with a minor. And now you got the nerve to sit up in this courtroom, showing out, cussing, talking about you don't know why you there. You ain't on trial. It ain't fair to you. Why you there? You know why you not. You know why you there, boy. You there because your ass didn't want to go to jail. Because you ain't hard like you playing. You want to sit up in that court acting like you a ride or die fan for R. Kelly, but you not. You not his friend. Because if you was a real friend and you was so loyal to him, you would have took the charge. Charges. Let me repeat that. Charges. Because you went up in a government building faking the funk. You went to another place, got fake ID. You went in the government office for the welfare card. So you were busy, 3 charges. Then you went and took all that stuff up into a hotel room with Robert Kelly to have married a child with a minister. So the minister, you filed too. Yeah, I said that. You did all this for a job. You did all this for a job. You said you did not want to be out of the circle. So you basically let me know, maybe, hell, maybe you like men too. Yeah, I said that. Everybody's so loyal to a man that couldn't read or write, has a penchant for sex with boys and girls. Yeah, that part. So let's ask ourselves, all these other people going to be charged for falsifying and giving fake information for the documents. Where are they, and will they come up on charges? Will they be testifying? Where were Aaliyah's parents and the uncle, Mr. Hankerson? You giving testimony now because you're releasing your niece's music. I don't know what your deal is with this releasing her music to streaming devices, which should have been done that. And I also hear that there is some rift between the uncle, who lives now in Noonan, Georgia, or been living down there, and the estate of Aaliyah. So I'm assuming her parents are her beneficiaries of her estate. So y'all got some problems going on now with the release of her music. Just so happened around the time of R. Kelly's trial. Very convenient, very theatrical, if you ask me. But what's going on with you and the family and that girl's estate? I'm curious. And I want to know what the hell were her parents and where were you, uncle? Because now that we believe that he's been sleeping with this little girl, possibly since 12. That's the testimony I wanted to bring to you in that article that won't upload. He went to that house in Detroit, Mr. Smith, the tour manager, and R. Kelly, to listen at her sing R. Kelly played the piano at her parents' house. Aaliyah was 12. And the prosecutors are saying that they believe that R. Kelly started having sex with Aaliyah shortly after that initial visit to the Detroit, Michigan house. So now what you're saying is he was sleeping with a 12-year-old, not a 15-year-old. Now, who wants to argue that? All you R. Kelly fans. And don't think I never listened to R. Kelly's music. Of course I did. Of course I did. But I also didn't know R. Kelly. I still don't know him. And what I've been hearing, I do not like. Where were her parents? You want me to believe he left her in the company? Y'all left this child in the company of the uncle. Well, where was the uncle at? Because if the uncle didn't live in Chicago, who was watching her while she was in the city with this man? How long was she in the city of Chicago making music? Or was it a matter of R. Kelly was traveling to Detroit to compose with the child? Still, at some point, he was left alone with her to have sex with her, for her to come up pregnant, and then he met her in a Rosemont, Illinois hotel. And that lets you know, the preacher, you dumb too. You want to tell me you looked at this child and looked at her and said that was a grown woman in that room? You thought that was a grown woman? You didn't find it suspicious you're marrying somebody in a hotel room? It didn't dawn on you this man got money, he should be marrying her in a church or a hall? Okay, stay woke. Where is the preacher? Will the preacher be testified? Will there be charges against him? Come on, y'all. Everybody play the role. What else we got? Department of Aid for Aaliyah with no birth date on the card. $500 for that card, a damn welfare card. I done heard it all. Then she went and got a fake ID made. Y'all went to a courier. Y'all went to some office and got a fake ID, pretending that she was a courier for a company to get a damn marriage certificate. This. And what the public aid card means? She received welfare, food stamps. I meant to Google that before I got on. Man, y'all were doing the most. But yet, you did all this to stay in R. Kelly's good graces. He asked you whose side you on. So you felt like some bobblehead and went along for the ride. Even though you asked him, was he messing with the girl? He denied it. And then you didn't get confirmation until he came to you right before going on stage. I guess she must have called and told him she was pregnant or thought she was pregnant. Y'all flew back to Chicago and jimmied up all these fake documents to get the girl married in a damn hotel room with a preacher. Hell, the preacher probably wasn't even a preacher. Come on, Queen. Who was the preacher? Lord, y'all done went and picked up somebody off the damn street. I see it. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for joining me. And like I said, the manager was combative. Why are you combative on the stand? You went along with this, sir. You agreed to take the immunity clause. So there was no need for you showing out in that courtroom and cussing and disrespecting yourself in the court because you were loyal to a man that you did not know and a man that you suspected of sleeping with a child. And you and your other cohorts rode the ride to be in his graces and to get that little funky money that you got. But what I have to ask myself is, what you got now? What you got now to show for working for R. Kelly? What do you do now? Do you have a job, sir, now? What do you do now, sir? How old are you, sir? And the fact that you said that Robert is a product of his environment. Well, what environment was that? Living in the ghetto? Growing up poor? Hell, his mama was a school teacher, so I thought that was odd that she was living as a poor woman as a school teacher. Even though we know school teachers did not make a lot of money, still don't make a lot of money, don't make a lot of money in Chicago, but I'm still confused. At that time, what was the problem with the mother elevate? My understanding is Robert Kelly was different than all her children. He stayed inside for many years. Although he was molested by the male neighbor, molested by his sister, which would naturally taint a child's mindset and disposition. I'm not knocking that. But what I'm saying is, a lot of us grew up in the inner city. I'm one of those people who was a product of growing up in the inner city of Chicago. So what the hell are you talking about, a product of environment? Some of us didn't act a monkey's ass until we got legally grown. So scratch that. Explain yourself. I know many people who are from Chicago. They were born and raised, and they are productive citizens. They have high-paying jobs. They have degrees. They are educated. They are homeowners. They drive nice cars. They have children. Their children are college educated. So what the hell are you talking about? It is a choice to do what you do when you become a legal adult, whether you were molested or not, whether you had good parents or not, whether you grew up in the projects, apartment building, a house, a bungalow, a skybox in the sky. Everything's a choice once you become an adult. And you have to seek help for your deviances. That's not your parents' job. That's not the community's job. That is your job. And R. Kelly wasn't raised no different than the average person that grew up in the inner city. So it's disrespectful to even say that. It's like I said, yes, he had the propensity to be a child molester because he was molested. I get that. Most child molesters were molested. That's where the behavior comes from. That is where the behavior comes from. They start acting out. I get that. But at some point, R. Kelly knew what he was doing was wrong. He should have got help. And that's on him. And that's on y'all that y'all aided him. Cook County told you all, that ID, that welfare card is not a normal ID to use for getting a marriage. So who approached the lady? How did they know that they could bribe her with $500 for that welfare card? I'm very curious to that. Did somebody recommend that lady in their entourage or somebody else? Who told R. Kelly about this woman? Because it says Mr. Smith said he knew where he can get the ID. So that leads me to wonder, did Mr. Smith know this woman personally, and that she would be the type to take a bribe of $500 to give out the card? Oh, y'all just dirty, man. Fucking dirty. Excuse my language. Navarro confirms the testimony of Miss Pace, a testimony of her asking for permission to talk to Robert and to do things in the said house in Olympia Fields. So Navarro is confirming Miss Pace's testimony of she and other girls needing permission to do things in that said house. The girls had to call this Mr. Navarro for whatever reason. They needed Mr. Kelly. He told you there was no roaming around the house. He didn't want the girls leaving the room. See, the reason why R. Kelly chose children at that time is because he knew they were easy to manipulate. You see, he knew he couldn't get a grown woman out to that house or a house and lock her in a room and tell her she can't come out. Oh, hell, the doors don't even have to be locked. Go in the room, don't come back out. Don't come out till I say you can come out. What woman would put up with that? And once I know I can get assets out of the house, the room, I'm going to do my best to come up out of there unless I like staying in there or unless I have succumbed to the mind control. But you see, this went on many years before we hear about these other women who crossed the path of R. Kelly, who were legal adults. Because some of you have argued, some went back and forth, Miss Kitty, whoever, she flew back and forth. You know, you all are saying, well, she's contradicting herself. Maybe. But what I don't understand is, why is everybody judging the women who are grown who said R. Kelly abused them when women are abused every day? Women are manipulated every day. Women give up their money every day. You have people who've been kidnapped who now can roam in and out of the house and they still won't run for it. And they're not R. Kelly. So you can't keep saying why they didn't leave, the women that were grown. Well, there are a lot of women that don't leave abusive relationships. And they're married to their abusers. And they're dating their abusers. And they live with their abusers. And they jump, skip at his beat. And they can roam freely in and out of their house. They're not locked in the basement. They're not locked under the bed, attic, storage shed. They come and go freely. So why do you all put R. Kelly on a pedestal that, why didn't they leave him? Well, why is R. Kelly treating them like that? How about that? Why not ask that question? Why was R. Kelly abusing children and grown women? Why are you cursing the women, hitting the women, beating them up, slapping them, choking them? Why are you doing that? Why are you soliciting children? That's what you should be asking. Why is it all the blame on the women? Why not ask the abuser, why are you abusing women and children and boys and girls. No self-esteem. Now, like I said, did R. Kelly have people in the house guarding the house, all entries of the doors where the women couldn't exit out? Because as I say to y'all, the house in Olympia Fields has a gate around it at the time of this photograph. So that should tell you something right there. If they were able to roam around the house, walk out of the front door, back door, side door, jump out the window, how the hell were they going to get out? The property is gated. See, this is what happens when you don't know what you're talking about and you think you know every damn thing. Most of you didn't even know that that house outside Chicago has a gate around it. And he just gave you testimony, Mr. Navarro, that 2 girls were found on the camera jumping over the gate. Now, why would they be jumping over the gate if they so in love with R. Kelly? I'll wait. What's wrong with just saying, hey, sir, can you open the gate? I got somewhere I got to be. I got somewhere I got to go. Hey, sir, I don't want to be here no more. Could you please open the gate? Yeah, okay. So now you're saying Mr. Navarro, he's a liar. How many girls went to the house in Olympia Fields? How many girls stayed at that house? If we were to take a tally, if R. Kelly would just be so kind to tell us how many girls were in that house at Olympia Fields before he started moving around to Georgia and back to Chicago. R. Kelly, how many girls did you have in that house underage? How many girls stayed in that house with you besides Jerronda Pace? Navarro tells us that he worked for the man for 2 years and he saw him abuse his employees verbally. Why would you be abusing your employees? So that goes to show you that Robert Kelly is a narcissist, sure enough. Besides him abusing little boys and girls and grown women, he abused the very people who rode the ride with him to hide his secrets. Why would you go to work for somebody that don't have respect for you, talk down to you, ridicule you? You see, but this is what happens. It's called gaining control because I didn't have control in my life. That's why abusers become abusers. They were abused. And then they grow up to abuse others. As Dr. Phil has so kindly told us, hurt people hurt people. I don't have control in my life, so I'm going to control you. I'm going to get back what was taken from me. Get in the bed, do this, do that, shut up, be quiet. And so on and so forth. Because I don't like myself. I'm insecure with myself. So I got to get it back, what the devil stole from me. But in the end, look at R. Kelly now, because the devil has never been his friend. So much information to bring you. Thanks for listening. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Okay. As I stated, the issue with R. Kelly and the herpes. The contradictory about if he told Jerronda about the herpes. You see, what you all got to understand is this. In the end, it doesn't matter who said what, who admitted to what. The doctor told it. That's all I need to know. Other women have come forward saying they got herpes. Who the hell wants to walk around and tell people they have that? An incurable disease. See, that's what people don't seem to understand. Once you say it, you can't take it back. And perhaps she said it once before in a deposition. She hinted at it because she really didn't want to admit that, yeah, he got it, because that means by saying he got it, she got it. You now know she has 4 children that came out her womb. She's pregnant with baby number 5. So that means, let's go ahead and say it, she's passed it on to the baby daddy of all these children. So he got to know that now he's on blast too, as the baby daddy of her children. Because you can't have babies without, the condom has to come off. Y'all understand what I'm saying? And no birth control used. So that means anybody that slept with these women know they got it too. So maybe that's why she was hinting he had it. Because she knew that if she come out and flat out say it, then okay, I'm saying I got it. Come on, y'all. Y'all know that. As I said, who knows when R. Kelly told her or any of the women he had herpes? Who's to say he slept with her and then that's when he hinted he got it or I got it? It's too late now. He's already had sex with her. And we're never going to know the truth of the conversation about when he told Jerronda Pace he had herpes. something about daddy's not feeling good, daddy's feeling sick. Who's to say that R. Kelly has more than herpes? Did that ever occur to any of you all? That when you count up all the women that he has slept with, they have slept with other people in their lifetime. That who's to say that R. Kelly doesn't have HIV or full-blown AIDS? See, that's something that you all don't ever think about. You're so worried about that herpes virus. He may have something bigger than herpes, because you ante up your chances of becoming HIV positive when you continuously have unprotected sex. That is a known fact. That is a known fact. You also up your chances for catching hepatitis C. So therefore, who's to say he don't have hepatitis C? He don't have HIV, full-blown AIDS. And naturally, we have medicine that can help keep your symptoms at bay with HIV and AIDS. He done slept and ain't used protection. We only have it on record that he was getting medication for the herpes. What about anything else he's caught? Because as I told you, you don't go to the doctor, it will cause health problems to not seek treatment for chlamydia, trichomonas, syphilis, gonorrhea. It's all the same. Syphilis will cause death over time without seeking any type of medicine, antibiotics. Al Capone died of syphilis. He went blind. And let's talk about the herpes situation again. Even if you told somebody you have it, such as a child, they don't know what herpes is. Who's to say he worded it in a way, I'm taking medicine, I'm Gucci. So long as I don't have an outbreak, you okay. You're talking to a child. What the hell does a child know about herpes? You got grown people right now in the chat didn't know nothing about how it's transmitted. Didn't know if you could cure it or not. Okay, so think about a child being told that. If a child don't know anything about venereal diseases, they're listening to a grown-up tell them something or not tell them something. And the average child would not know anything about no venereal diseases. They haven't been instructed to. So it's no telling what he told the kids. They were kids. And that's what people need to understand. It has been said by many Chicagoans that R. Kelly hung outside of Kenwood Academy that is in Hyde Park, a very well-known area on the south side of Chicago, near the University of Chicago, a very affluent place where Black people live, white people live, Korean people live, Jews live. It's a very, very swanky area on the south side of Chicago where our president once lived, still lives, I believe, has a house there. President Obama, Mrs. Obama. So Hyde Park is the real deal. A very swanky area on the south side of Chicago. And it's been told that he hung outside the high school after he dropped out of school. So ask yourself this. If there are people in Chicago that knew that he was hanging at the high school, why do you think he was hanging outside the damn school? That's been said. Oh, we already knew that about R. Kelly hanging outside the high school, hanging outside the McDonald's. Why would a grown man be hanging outside of a high school or a McDonald's? Because that's places where children frequent. Children go to school, children go to McDonald's. He's looking for victims. And yet you're still going to argue he's not a pedophile. And because he has not been arrested or charged with a charge of pedophilia, you still got people going back and forth arguing, saying, well, he ain't been arrested for it. Come again? If a child says she had sex with him, he don't need to have an arrest record to formally say he's a pedophile. And some of you, that's what you're looking for. You want it to be on paper. Well, my thing is this. If a child can prove she had sex with him, that's good enough for me. That he's a pedophile. You're a pedophile to me so long as you grope a child, you touch a child, you kiss a child, you perform sexual acts with a child. You're a pedophile. I don't need it on paper, an indictment or a charge. A formal charge means nothing to me. You know you groped the child, had sex with the child. The child knows you did it. That's good enough for me. Your ass is a pedophile. And that's how I look at it. We now get information that R. Kelly met Aaliyah at 12. Do the math. So that means he was 24 years old when he met her. And the state is claiming R. Kelly had sex with her soon after that meeting in Detroit where he played the piano and she sang. Stay woke. So now you're saying he was sleeping with a 12-year-old at the time. And yet, you just don't want to accept the fact that he is a pedophile for some reason. Now we're talking about him having sex with a 12-year-old. So how low are the numbers we going to take it now? Yeah, okay. Mr. Smith claims he was so concerned that R. Kelly was playful with her. Well, there was some conversation that you didn't see no signs of R. Kelly being overt towards Aaliyah. So now you go to court saying you was concerned that he was too playful with the girl. So which is it, sir? He was playful or he wasn't? Then you said you got your answer that he had been having sexual relations with the girl when R. Kelly came to him one night before a concert telling him Aaliyah was in trouble and she thought she was pregnant. So y'all flew back to Chicago to get the ball rolling and get them married so he wouldn't be brought up on charges for statutory rape, pedophilia. Yeah, okay. But yet, he ain't a pedophile. He ain't slept with no young girls. But Aaliyah is the first of our knowing he slept with a child and married a child. But you want me to believe thereafter, he never sought comfort, set of sexual gratifications with a child children. But because Aaliyah's famous, don't nobody want to talk about that. The proof has been there all along. The proof has been there all along. But yet, because Aaliyah is famous and dead, everybody want to push that under the rug. Well, you now know it's out. They got legal documentation showing the marriage certificate, everything. So if he did it with her, he did it with other young girls under the age of 18. Come on now. And now boys, let's not throw them out. He's now being brought up also for having sexual contact with boys. Let me say that 1 hour and 7 minutes into this live. Thank you all for joining me. Like I said, y'all hashed a plan to get these IDs and everything made. Got a license made. Got a minister. As I stated, who's the minister? The minister didn't pay any attention that the child was young. Why marry in a hotel room? You didn't find this strange, sir? Him marrying a young girl in a hotel room? Will he testify? Will he be brought up on charges? The minister. Where is the minister? The marriage is said to be annulled a year later. Well, basically 6 months later. We're to believe the information in the said article. So where was Aaliyah living at the time she was married to R. Kelly and beforehand? Who was Aaliyah staying with while dating, sleeping, slumbering with a grown-ass man? Robert Sylvester Kelly. This is BS and you know it. Where was everybody at? And yet you say you were so concerned about her, Mr. Smith. Let me tell you something about people. Most of you know this. Mr. Smith, you want to go in that court showing out, acting like a damn Negro, a goofy ass Negro. The word I want to use, I want to say on the live, but y'all know what word I want to use. You going up in that court acting like just a goofy black person, ignorant black person. You know damn well people show affection for each other when they like each other. That's when people start talking and gossiping. It is hard for a man not to show that he likes a woman, vice versa. At some point, you can start out not showing attention, but eventually you're going to start making jokes, comments, touching, groping, something. And there's no way you want me to believe at some point R. Kelly did not show affection for Aaliyah in public. He liked her. He had already been sleeping with her, so how could he not? Same thing for her. And now you're going to go in court and admit that you felt like he was over playful. Well, that was him showing signs he liked her and possibly had been having sex with her. And that is a known thing to do when you like people. You show attention. You show affection. You make commentary. You touch them. It's what people do. It's what people have been doing. I got a feeling you always knew. You just want to fake the funk for Robert because you want to seem like you're a loyal friend. But as I state, you're not loyal because you took the clause, the immunity clause. So going into court now, acting stupid and showing out in that courtroom yesterday means nothing to me. because you're not loyal to Robert. If you really were a loyal friend, you would have took the charges like a man and never opened your mouth. You would have went before a court and denied all the charges, let the state prosecute you, let 12 members of a jury find you guilty or not guilty. And if they found you guilty, you would have went to prison, did your time, and came out and never spoke of anything that happened between you and Robert Kelly and Aaliyah. That's a spoken word. As I say, where were her parents? What do the parents think now of the said trial? Will they speak now? What do they think of the trial that happened in 2008? The pornography charges. Did they ever speak to R. Kelly thereafter? Have they ever had a relationship with him thereafter? Is it true about the allegations of Robert Kelly giving royalties to the said family as payment not to prosecute him for having sex with their child? Did they have any inkling all along that their child, Aaliyah, was sleeping with Robert Kelly? Did they ever say anything to the uncle about watching her, monitoring her, anything that they may have been hearing in the street? Because, you know, Detroit's right next door. It's not that far. People talk. People whisper. What do the parents know about the relationship between Robert Kelly and their child? Did they know all along? Will they speak now? And the fact that Mr. Smith sits in the courtroom saying he feels uncomfortable about talking about Aaliyah without her parents being there, what is her parents going to do? And as I stated in my earlier commentary, only a fool would want to talk in court about a dead woman in front of her parents. And if she was alive, what fool would want to talk about her in a courtroom in front of her parents? That don't make any sense. That comment doesn't make any sense. I think you high on dope, sir. I think you're full of shit. I'm going to say that. I want to thank all of you for joining me. If you want to donate to this channel, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App. No matter what you think of this case, R. Kelly, the women who have brought testimony against Robert Kelly, the people who testified in the courtroom this week, if you believe that the things that have been said by Ms. Pace, other women, the testimony has been exaggerated, fabricated, lied, whatever, in the end, Geronda Pace and the other women were children. Geronda Pace was a child. Aaliyah was a child. There are other children, girl children, boy children, that Robert Kelly raped, because by law it is rape. And as it states in Michigan and Illinois law, it is illegal for an adult to have sex with a minor child, and 15 years of age is considered a minor. The staff went along and they wanted notoriety for being in the comforts of Robert Kelly. And they did not care what he was doing and not doing. They hung with him. They rode with him. And they did all this for fame. Fame whores. Point blank. You all failed. Aaliyah, Geronda Pace, and all the other girls and boys that you knew of were partaking in sexual activities and hanging around Robert Kelly. All the parents who willingly knew their children were running around the streets somewhere, whether with R. Kelly or not, you failed your children because you didn't monitor your children enough to be concerned about their whereabouts. And unfortunately, they got in the wrong hands by being in the care of Robert Sylvester Kelly, a pedophile. More fame whores, more junkies. And for those of you who rode the ride with Robert Sylvester Kelly, and you are judging the young girls and women who participated in sex with R. Kelly, who took payments for money to be quiet, hush money, and if indeed some of the parents, I don't know who they are, what's truth and what's not, took payments as hush money, and you claim that they are junkies, you are a fraud yourself, because indeed the same finger that you are pointing at these said people, you are those people, because you rode the ride with Robert Sylvester Kelly and raping children, paying bribes, committing crimes against people who allegedly were coming out to speak against Robert Kelly, arson, threats, gun threats. You are no different than the parents you are judging that took payments and any payments allegedly paid by Robert Kelly, his entourage, to the said women and or girls and or family members. You are also a fame whore, a fame junkie, a cohort conspirator to the rape of a boy and girl child by Robert Sylvester Kelly. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.